Any Given Sunday, it is not Any Given Sunday. It is the Sunday that's going to get us into the finals. Now, wanted to make this video and get it out, even though a lot of you won't see it until after some of the matchups already rolled down. Some of them have already started. Does it look like I've traveled 36 hours and barely slept? Good, because that's exactly what happened. This one's going to be a short one, though. No bit on the NFL. Let's go to the couple matchups we had last week and then just look ahead quickly before we get to our semifinals. When you make these videos, it's hard not to just fall into cliches. But when it comes to a week like this, it really is, did your big guys do big things? Now, the funny part about that is if you looked at just the number of top 5 performances that these two teams have, you would think that Will ran away with this one. Quarterback 1, running back 4, wide receiver 1, scroll all the way down, defense 5. Now, looking at his bench, he also had some options, not crazy ones. He made all the right calls. So you would think this went amazingly well. Unfortunately, his lows were just too low. A rookie, not a Wookiee wide receiver. That would be very, very different. I'm not going to do my impression right now. A rookie wide receiver that didn't pop off. A rookie tight end who is just in an offense that's just sad face emoji. Waddle not having the number he needed, and obviously there's a little bit of quarterback issues here. And then ultimately when it came down to it, Breece Hall actually had some good weeks, and he was someone who was on my list of, is he going to be a league winner or loser? He might have been a playoff winner, but a regular season, but not a playoff winner in this case. Now flip the coin. Van Buren boys, you had the running back 2. Yeah. Jacksonville Jaguars were just the team to have. Who knew? You had the tight end 4. Awesome. And the defense as well. Defense 2. Other than that, you just were steady all the way through, whether hitting predicteds, just over, just under. That's what you're looking for, right? You want to try and get the numbers build up. You were a number 1 overall scorer. I know that the playoffs were a little bit tense for you, but now that you're in, your guys are coming out. You made the semifinals. Will, it's been a rocky season. You were number 1 for a while, undefeated for a while. I understand this is a bit of a disappointment. Again, the highs and the lows on this one are definitely shown, but not quite a decent matchup. Now, Kevin on his side, like I said, you want your guys to pop off here like Nacua, but Gibbs, Jefferson, just not doing it. He needed a few more. He did have the wide receiver 2 in Nacua and the defense 3 in the Eagles. Looking at his bench, he did have a few guys that would have been interesting options, but no one that was going to turn the tide. He really just needed Gibbs to have one of those Gibbsian weeks, and it just didn't really happen. Now, Paul, on your side, you were dealing with a pretty big injury, and that stinks when it happens during the game. Now, it happened late enough that at least he had some stuff on the go. And you were surrounded by some pretty good performances. The RB3, you did have your other quarterback go off. There was the quarterback 5, and McBride had a monster one. Now, this would normally be in any given week, probably the tight end 1. It was the tight end 3, because if you weren't paying attention, there was a couple other doozies that just didn't happen to factor into our top 4. So Paul makes it to the semis. Kevin, been a ride, and you definitely were the guys that when your guys were on, you were unbeatable. Just not every single week. Your keepers are looking pretty solid for next year, though, so I wouldn't cry quite yet. Looking ahead, every matchup actually does matter. Now, we are going to have a meetup, and I'm going to suggest something in a few weeks, probably well after Christmas. Everyone's super busy. I'd love to just get as many people in the room together for kind of a year-end recap. And when we do, I think we need to talk a little bit about just competitive clauses here, but that's just something else. Thielen Breezy, you haven't been putting your best roster in. You've got Justice Hill in there for quite a while, so I think you gave up a little bit ago. Unfortunately for you, this matchup actually kind of does have some impact. Remember, if you win the consolation, you get first pick of what pick you want next year. So while you're guaranteed a top 4 choice, you're doing your best to make sure it's 4th. Jake has taken benefit from it. Now, I'm just not going to go ahead for all of these matchups, and just because obviously 2 games have happened, I'm not just going to point to them. I would have said that in this particular matchup, I think it does normally come down to running backs, but since he only has one of them, got to give the edge to Jake on this one. I'm in the other one, and obviously I want to make sure I've not put my best roster out yet. That's going to happen later today, but I did have a quarterback get popped in the head, whereas he had a quarterback who didn't. The Adams thing, I don't know if Joe knows what this is up to, and it'd be super embarrassing that it looks like I might be losing to someone who did not put in their best roster. But anyway, I'll see what I can do. This one is going to come down to, I think, it means a play like Stafford versus a play like Love. These are the kind of weeks where you really can't afford that injury. That might be enough, but at least I got a fighting chance. Let's see how it pans out. Similar to what I said before, we're going to go with reverse order of how things go. And I think it just makes sense to give the fifth, since it's a 5th, 6th game. What are you playing for? You want to play for the win. I think we mentioned this before. If I didn't, I think it's worth mentioning. We wanted to be competitive every single week. So I would suggest that whoever wins this matchup gets to choose a little bit earlier. Look at the 5th pick of when they choose. 6 will obviously get 6th, and then we'll go reverse order from there, because I don't think we need to add to competition because it's a podium finish. Hopefully that makes sense to people. If not, let's see. When it comes to Gibbs, and I don't just mean Gibbs the running back, I mean the house of Gibbs, he goes where his big guys go. It would be ridiculous for me to not pay attention that he didn't already have a guy go off. But Will, you've got a couple horses yourself, so it's not like you're out of it. This one actually, I think, could come down to the last couple matchups. In our first semi-final, 2 versus 3, again, I'm just going to pretend like some of these didn't already happen. It wasn't a massive underperformance, just slightly. And this one I do think is going to come down to, you got someone like Chase who's had very volatile weeks. McCaffrey, and I think the running back edge has to go to Paul on this one. The big one, quarterbacks. He's going all in on Chiefs, even though we know that that's not necessarily the team that might come out the most competitive, or maybe not. Maybe that Minshew, the golden mustache, is going to come out and try and show that he can at least lead the Chiefs to a victory. Let's see how it rolls. Darren Waller's been a touchdown-heavy machine, so smart for Michael to throw it in there. Again, I think it's going to come down to a couple big performances and hopefully not any injuries or underperformances. Now, McCracken already has the stipend for being the number 1 overall seed. Not enough for him, but he is battling here when he's had a couple underperformances already. Again, I don't just want to list the things that just happened. I'd say the big swing here, going J.J. McCarthy, just a big swing for Jim. Obviously, he had ATN go off last week against Denver. I don't know if you can count on that. CeeDee Lamb being now fully healthy. I'd say the running back advantage has to go to our number 1 seed. This one is far from over, folks. Next time we see each other like this, hopefully I won't look quite so bad. Not that much better, but definitely a little bit better. Doesn't matter. Remember, every week does in fact count. Can't stress that one enough. Some of you have already kind of thrown in the towel. Some people may benefit from this. Let's see how it rolls. So best of luck to everybody, but especially to our top 4 in the semifinals.